I say, who that? R.I.P. Tom Benson. Shout out to the whole Who That Nation. Now who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. Oh, who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. I got that fever, my people. See, we not equal, my people. I'm like that dog saint underneath the steeple, my people. Got Drew Brees, he the feature, and our defense the sequel. The D-line and linebackers, man, they coming to reach ya. Make enemies some believers, cause we overachievers. DBs see 50-50 balls and we call them keepers. Y'all can follow this leader, cause Sean Payton will teach ya.
Saints Talk listeners, what's up? We back. Bob, what's up, Bob? I see you in here. Always early, always on time. What's up, guys? Thank you guys for joining Saints Talk podcast. We here. Nick Underhill. Nick, what's up? Let's talk football.
All right, let's talk football, man.
Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Yeah, we got a few topics here today. It's the off-season, guys. So we're just kind of taking a step back, looking at maybe just some offensive philosophy things and, just kind of looking at the team and seeing where we think they'll go. So that's what we're going to talk about today. As always, if you got any really good questions, put them in chat. If we see them, we'll ask them. This is interactive. You guys run this show. We listen to you guys. So, yeah, like I said, if you got something, got a good question, then feel free to ask. So, Nick, let's start offensive philosophy-wise. There's a change of quarterback this year. The Hall of Fame quarterback is no longer quarterbacking for the Saints, even though he pops up in the facility every once in a while. I just want to say, someone get a hangnail. He keeping his head in the playbook. But
no. Do you see the NBC promo that came out this week? His hair is thick. That man is not putting the helmet back on. Are you talking about Drew Brees?
Oh, I didn't see the promo. No.
Yeah. So there was like a promo photo that came out, and that man's hair is thick. He is not putting the helmet back on that head. He is done. His hair is saying that he's retired. So yes,
he went and got the Wes Welker.
I mean, it's significant. It's a significant amount of hair.
Hey, listen,
he is officially a TV guy. He's got the Urlacher.
Oh, wow. Come on, man. Come on. Let me tell you something. So the bald-headed men out there, early balding men, if you got the money, go do it, man.
Right. I don't see any. There's no shame in it. Absolutely.
Bro, listen, when you give me my raise, I'm going to get my hair back.
Absolutely. There's no shame in it. It's 2021. If science says you don't have to do that. If your wallet says that you can go make the appointment, absolutely, no shame at all.
None. Look at
there's no shame. Go ahead and be bald if you want to. There's no shame in that either. I'm just saying. But if you feel like you need hair, go get hair.
Look at Dion, man.
Yeah.
And he said, "Don't do it." Hey, man. Look, man. My wife told me not to get no new hair anyway. So guess I'll stay bald headed. All right. So moving on from quarterbacks with newly grown hair as they grow older, which is always fun. The offensive philosophy. So, how do you think they approach this? Right. Do you think that, you trust Drew Brees with the ball? He's a quarterback. He knows how to protect the ball. On the other side, you got two turnover machines based on history. Right now, maybe it changes, but I think it's fair to say that those guys, they turn the ball over at a relatively higher rate than you would like. So do you think there's a potential a shift in philosophy, as it pertains to play calling and how they approach, the game offensively? Or do you think Sean is who Sean is and they're going to throw it around and they're going to trust the quarterbacks to, protect the ball when it comes out and make the right decisions? How do you think that part plays out?
So you asking, are they going to become more run dominant?
Well, not the Titans, right? They're, obviously they're not going to Tennessee route, but do you think they lean a little bit more on the run this year without Drew? Yeah, that's in essence, that's the question. But like I said, not extreme. We're not going Chicago 85 Bears and nothing here.
Maybe a little. I mean, I don't think it's going to be significantly different because they treat their passing game like an extension of the running game anyhow. So I think that they'll still be extremely screen heavy, maybe more called screens. I think that's one area where we'd probably see a little bit of a difference, especially if somehow Taysom wins that. I think that you would have to effort with him to get the ball into the hands of the running back. So I don't think that you necessarily count on the check down to get Alvin his touches. I think you'd have to manufacture those a little bit more. But I think overall they're going to probably do a lot of the stuff they do. I mean, Sure, there'll probably be some risk mitigation in some factors. How do you do that in the passing game? That's a good question. I think that they'll have to find like a new balance between stretched out and maybe, especially depending on what kind of stripes these guys show. If Jameis shows his old stripes at all, I think that you got to do some things to squeeze it in a little bit and force him to be a little bit more moderate in his approach.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't, I've struggled with this all offseason, and we've hit on this talking point a lot. I honestly believe the stuff Jameis is saying. I honestly believe that he's viewing the game differently. I honestly believe that he wants to be different, and wanting to be different that's how you change. You actually have to want those things. And it'll be interesting to see how he reacts under fire when things are going bad, what he has to do, all that stuff.
Right.
But I do think that he's trying to rewire the way that he approaches the game and the way he thinks about it and all those things. If he does that, I think a lot of stuff's going to fall into place for this team, but I don't expect them to be drastically different. I don't think anybody's ever going to, I think Saints fans want a 30% pass ratio to a 70% run ratio. Like, I don't think you're ever going to see that. Yeah. I don't think you're really going to see the 50-50. I would expect 60-40. I think that's just kind of who they are. I think that's their DNA. And within that 60, everyone always wants to look at that hard number and say that, oh, they need to run the ball more. You got to look at that 60% and say how many of these were actually called runs that just happened to be a short pass to get a guy out into space or something like that. And I think when you do that, there is that 50-50 balance. It's just categorizing everything properly where it goes instead of looking at overall numbers or, that's just not the way to do analysis.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's fair. I don't, and more so, more than it being just a number thing, like is it 50-50, is it 60-40? I think a fairer way to look at it is, when the Saints start their offense, right, and they, game plan, when they, during the week they're writing their game plan up and they're determining how they want to attack whatever team they're facing this week. Does their offense start with the run game, right? And I think that would be a run-based philosophy. And I don't think that that's something that, they're going to, to look to do. Yeah, I saw that, man. I'm actually here for it. Saints Twitter. Check it out. All right, guys. For the pod people, there's someone in chat said they're going to start a GoFundMe to help me get hair. Listen, let me tell you something. Be very clear about this. If you guys pay for me to get hair, I will get the hair. Just be real about it. I'm not here for no games, bro. I'm not here for no games. I'm gonna get the hair. I'm gonna document it. You guys gonna see where the hair is going. You're gonna see it ain't gonna be no money going to a PlayStation 6. No, we back. We back. So I'm just saying. I just gotta put it out there because I know people was wondering. The streets gotta know. I'm getting the hair. So I don't even remember what I was talking about.
Oh, we're off the rails. It's a post minicamp podcast.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I think it's 30 for 30 on Kevin's here.
Oh man, where we at?
No, I was saying so. I think a run-based team starts the offense with the run game, right? During the week, you say, okay, we're going to attack this team via the run. Right.
So more play action and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The run game is the foundation of your offense. Right. So teams like, obviously Tennessee, you see that. I don't know if you're going to see that in Atlanta this year, but, maybe obviously the Ravens are a team that does that. Kyle Shanahan is, of course, he starts his offense with the whole Shanahan, LaFleur tree. They do the same thing. But yeah, I don't think they're going to go that route. But, I could see maybe here and there, maybe a game plan where they feel like, they know they can run on the team, then you go for it. But I think fundamentally, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, that is kind of the league-wide trend too, really, is play actions becoming like a lot more in vogue and kind of setting things up off of that.
Yeah.
And if Taysom's your quarterback, that's how you're attacking. You're attacking through play action, and you have to almost. And that's really what they tried to do to establish against Atlanta, and it worked pretty well for them in those games. So yeah, with him, I think that you would definitely see a different offensive philosophy, just kind of in how you view everything fundamentally. I think with Jameis, you're a little bit more static. So yeah, that's a really good point. And that's the difference between the two guys. I don't think it changes your DNA too much as far as your route concepts and kind of how you think about getting guys open and things like that. Maybe you're a little bit more simplified. Your reads are a little bit less. You're doing some things differently. And they did a little bit of that last year. I think they took some of the window dressing off of some of the concepts, and instead of having 4 routes, it just became a little bit easier to read and
reduced,
a little bit more condensed. So I mean, that's the thing though, and we've talked about this a little bit. And my stance on this is evolved over time. I think that you can go quite a bit. I think you can wait. I think you can wait to make your decision. I think you can go through the whole preseason and still kind of come out and just do what you do. And we talked about it on the last pod a little bit. And that's just because I think that your core passing concepts really remain the same. And it's just kind of how everything comes around that. You can walk through it. You can walk through all the Taysom runs. You can do all that stuff before practice, before you hit the field, before you have to show all the people that are in the stands and that scout that might have stuck in and is sitting over there in the upper left corner. You can get away with all that stuff. So I think that they can take their time and really make a deliberate decision. Hopefully they don't have to. Hopefully it's very clear, very early, and you can establish and allow Jameis or Taysom, whoever wins that, to get the first team reps, to get the chemistry with these other guys. But I think if it's tight, you can go the distance and still come out week 1 and have different offenses, because I think that the basis of it is very much the same no matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I will say one thing though, and I guess I'll backtrack a little bit on my point, is that obviously I don't know if I'm saying anything groundbreaking here, but if Taysom is the quarterback, I definitely think you're going to see the offense start with the run a lot more than you would if it's Jameis.
Yeah, right? No, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
So okay. So with that point in mind, do you think it's like, I think the offensive line obviously plays a point in that. And just a quick question: if you had to say the strength of the Saints offensive line, would you say it's run blocking or pass protection, or it's kind of just like split down the middle?
Man, I would probably say run blocking. I think it's probably run blocking. Teron's out of this world there. That's the best aspect of Pete's game. I think McCoy's really good in the run. I think Ruiz was probably a little bit better in the run than he was against the pass last year. And I think Ramchek's just good at everything.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
So I think it is run blocking.
Yeah. I kind of tend to when I first started the question, I'm like, well, if it's the Saints, obviously it's pass. But I'm like, okay, well, I think Teron is equally good at both. I think he's just good. I would say Ramczyk is probably, a 10-10 run blocker or a 8 or 9-10 pass blocker, right? I think he's a little bit better, against the run. McCoy, I kind of view McCoy as kind of equal at both, and I'm probably missing some things in my head, but I want to say he's probably a little bit better run blocker. And Pete and Ruiz, in the run game. So yeah, it was, I was like thinking like, man, I do think they run the ball better. So, if you're going to play to the strength of the, of your team, I like I said, it kind of goes back to the last question, how they're going to start the offense. But do you think it's fair to assume that the offensive line is going to play better this year?
Oh yeah. I think they're going to be a lot better this year. I do. I think that Ruiz, he's going to get better than he was last year. And look, I like the way that they set up their offseason program. I think it really benefits him to take away some of the on-field work, and he's not making his mistakes live. He's not. And look, they don't do any live blocking this time of year anyhow.
Right,
so I mean,
right.
I love when I see like reports about like pass rush dominating. I'm like, dominating what?
Yeah, it's like
blocking you.
Air.
Yeah. He got 4 sacks.
Look at that blocking dummy.
What?
Look at that blocking dummy on the ground.
Yeah, but I think they're going to be a lot better. And I think this period benefits Ruiz because they're taking away the on-field work. It's when they go on field, it's one-on-one, it's drills, it's individual technique work, and they can really sit there and just pound it and have Ruiz watch film, go out on the field, and now he's doing the technique, and it's just over and over and over those repetitions. I think that's the kind of coaching he needs. He's playing in a new position, and when you get into the season, they aren't working on fundamental. when a quarterback's mechanics are bad, you aren't working on the mechanics of how a quarterback throws during the season. Right. You're preparing for the next opponent. You're ready or you're not.
Right.
And you figure out that stuff with Tom House in the offseason. It's the same thing on the offensive line. Except right now, you can bring it back, and these coaches that are hired by NFL teams can actually sit there and teach you just very basic, okay, here's how you stagger your stance. This is how you're doing it wrong. And you don't have the time to do that during the season. Maybe a little bit, but just not as a primary focus. And that's what Ruiz needs. I think this offseason is going to help him get. Yeah. I think he's going to get better. And I don't think that's just, there's a lot of hype and fluff and stuff. Like, I really think that he's going to get better. Like Zach Strief working with that guy every day, he's going to get better. There's just no way he can't. And he's going to go home now, and he knows what he needs to do much better than he did last year.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get better,
try it.
Yeah.
If
he doesn't get better, it's real bad. But I don't think that's possible.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you think man? You know what? Another hair comment. I'm gonna post a pic of me with hair, and I'll see what you guys think. If we should we should run it back. But yeah. Anyway, so do you think the O-line getting better is contingent upon Ruiz's improvement, right? Like, or do you think there's some room on the bone elsewhere, right? What about Pete? We thought maybe Pete would have I did. Let me not put words in your mouth, but I thought Pete would play a little better than he did this past year. I thought, with him being healthy and things of that nature, not sure we got that. Obviously the other three guys are pretty good, but do you think, Ramczyk could improve, right? Or McCoy can improve, even Teron can improve. Do you think those other guys also, can kind of improve a little bit on the O-line?
I think it's easiest to kind of point at Ruiz because that's kind of like buying AMC stock at $13.52 before Quiet Place 2 came out and watching it rise up to $60 a share. Like, I think that's that's where you can kind of see it go to the moon and just really get that huge gain. But yeah, I think it's a lot of places. Pete can be better than he was last year. I don't think Ramczyk I thought Ramczyk had a very good season. He
had his worst season as a pro, though. I think he probably did. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, he could have been a little bit better. There were games where he's giving up pressures, which is just like, whoa, like, what are you doing? And you didn't see that. And I think some of that's probably due to the guy playing to the side of him and not having the chemistry there. And I think that plays a part too. So it wasn't all necessarily on him. The communication was probably much different than it used to be. And I think his circumstances were really hard. But yeah, I don't think he had his top season, so I think he can play a little bit better. I think Teron was probably close to as good as he's been in a while. Whoa. I mean, the super freak, when
he was hurt.
He's at like such an absurd super freak level before injuries kind of set in. But like since they started the injury stuff, I think he was right up there as good as he's been in quite a while. So if he maintains, but I think there's room for everybody. I think McCoy can play better than he did last year. It was just a weird season. And,
I think McCoy will play better, actually. I think he's one of the guys that, he can go from being like really good to like borderline elite. I think, he could maybe have potentially one of those type of jumps because, he was the kind of guy I was thinking about when I brought this question up because, we kind of view him as a guy that's settled in, but the reality is like, this is third year. I don't know. I think of McCoy as like this super veteran, right? And he was drafted after Marcus Davenport, right? So it's like, he's a young player who, is still has room to grow. So, I definitely think I think they'll be better, the O-line. I also think that, they're bringing in, they got Nick Van Nett. They brought him there to block. Just some blocking and stuff in the pass game. I think Troutman is someone who can do, he can block and he can be in the pass. So I think you got a couple of tight ends on the roster who, kind of lend themselves to being guys who can not tip your offense one way or another, where you're talking about running pass. And so I think that actually, I think that helps shows up protection a lot in a few different ways too. So it'd be interesting to see, how they approach this thing.
Anybody say or reference anything this week in any of the interviews that really stood out to you?
I mean, the one you wrote about Davenport was That was the thing that stood out to me more than anything. Actually, that was like the next topic because I'm just thinking through all the interviews. I listened to Debo. I listened to I think the Davenport was the one that stood out. It stood out a lot. Just, dude's just like completely like unguarded. Like, hey, here's what I'm dealing with. Here's what I'm doing to deal with it. Here's the things I'm working on to get better. And like, the human side of me, I was like, man, I really like, I feel that. It's like, wow, like dude's dealing with, some pressure type of stuff, and he's working his way through it. So, and you wrote about it. You wrote about that, and you also wrote about Ruiz. By the way, you guys go check out those articles on the site. They've been there, and there's one on Debo up there, and there's also one on Zach Bond. So, young players, very interesting. Go check it out. But yeah, the Davenport one stood out to me probably the most.
I liked Traquan's comment about just how there are no more decoy routes in the offense with Jameis at quarterback. It kind of changes things up quite a bit, and that is really true. And
yeah,
look, I think part of the reason
that don't stop running like Forrest, just keep going, bro.
I think one of the reasons that Brandon Cooks got frustrated in this offense is that there were a lot of decoy routes, and he's running and he's running and he's running and he's running, and the ball ain't coming on him. And I think that's gotten more pronounced over the last few years. So
yeah,
that was just like a nice little illustrator about how things are going to be different, and just how the players on the team kind of realize that there's going to be an element of the offense that comes back that hasn't been there. The flip side is going to be, at some point they're going to realize that the automatic short passes aren't quite as automatic as they were. So there is going to be a trade-off to that at some point, and we'll kind of see the adjustment to that. Yeah.
2nd and 10 coming up.
Right.
Get ready, man. Get ready. Yeah, that was the most like entertaining comment that I saw, like as it pertains to like getting me excited. Cause I'm like, oh man, that's I was kind of like, that sounds a little bit like old Jameis, but whatever, we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, Jameis, you might want to check it down, bro. But let's just kind of see how it plays out. I will say, I would like to hear from Mike Thomas. He's the one. He's the one I want to hear from. Like, Coach Payton kind of alluded to him, kind of getting some work done on his ankle. Not work, but just they're paying close attention to it. But then I heard some other guys talk about like, oh, Mike is healthy now and stuff like that. So, yeah, I just after the season he had, and just talking football here, after the season he had. Yeah, I kind of want to see him, right? I kind of want to know where his mind is, right? He had a down year, no way to spin it, right? His first game where he was healthy, Carlton Davis kind of got at him, right? And then, he was hurt and he never became himself again. And yeah, I think he's a player that we need to keep an eye on, right? Is he going to be fully back healthy? Is he going to be able to?
I think he will. I mean, he was having off-season ankle surgery, supposed to, like immediately after the season. So I think that probably happened. At some point, and then take some time to recover. I don't think it's anything alarming right now that he's still getting treatment and they're looking at it. It's probably pretty normal. And look, he played through a lot last year.
He did.
And it's not something that really got talked about a whole lot, like the level of stuff he was going through. And it got talked about, but I just don't think it was quite real. Like you get surgery on an ankle after the season play through. I think that's a pretty significant injury. And he still put up some numbers when he was playing too.
Yeah.
And he kind of got past that first wave of the injury. But
yeah,
I think it's pretty normal. Where I would have liked to hear from him too.
Yeah,
that's
Mike,
try your best. Yeah. Look, Mike's one of those. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but he's just one of those guys that I think just really. I just don't, talking to the media. I think doesn't make him happy. It's not like in ways that you're just kind of like, yo, that's cool, like do your thing, like not in a mean way. It's just kind of like, I don't think Mike really likes doing it, and if he doesn't want to do it, fine. I'm not going to be upset about it. I'll find another way to do the job. But yeah, I think it's just something that's it's not his thing. And for some guys, there's a difference between people who are mean and rude about it and people that it's just not their thing.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's Mike's thing. And Marcus Colston was the same way. It's fine. Like if you're nice about it, cool. Just I remember times that a couple players for the Patriots would like throw up a middle finger when you walked up to them. Like, just don't do that. That's the only thing. Like,
Mike just come up to the mic. Mike just come up to the mic. I'm here so I won't get fined. Beast mode style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's just someone I want to hear about. I mean, he's wired a little differently, man. And it's just like people like that. I just kind of want to, kind of hear what they got going on.
Yeah, definitely. He's a huge story. He had the injury last year. Was frustrating. How's he feel about having a new quarterback? There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's important.
It would have been nice to hear about it. Yeah,
and I think he got something to prove. I do. I know he got skin in the game, but I
don't think he does.
I think he does. I think he does, man. I mean, listen, I think every year he got something to prove, but like, yeah, man. I mean, new quarterback. You're supposed to be you're the one of the best. I'm not saying I don't think he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, or he's not solidified in his position as one of those guys. But I mean, you don't have this Hall of Fame quarterback no more. Now you have to get these other two guys, you have to get them going. You're going to be their guy, right? So you got to be available, and you got to, the wide receiver corpse is not the most talented. So yeah, I think he got to prove that, hey man, Drew's gone. I'm the guy. I'm gonna hold it down. We good in this spot. I think I need to see that.
What do you have? 183 in 4 games, or like almost? I want to say he had like 300 and some yards in 4 games with Taysom, something close to it. I mean, he dominated with Teddy at quarterback. I don't think he's got anything to prove. I think Mike's cemented. I think Mike's top receiver in the league. He's shown that with every quarterback, different quarterbacks. I don't think it's a problem. I don't think he has anything to prove. He's just injured. He just needs to show up and show that he can run. And I think Mike can run. Mike's getting his numbers. I don't think he has. He doesn't need to show that. Look, he has one of the greatest seasons of all time. What do you got to do beyond that?
Oh, like I said, I'm not taking away his accolades. I acknowledge that I think he's one of the best, no question.
Like,
but
I guess I take umbrage with it a little bit, because it kind of feels like if you're saying he has something to prove, you're saying that stuff's probably in the past for him, and he needs to prove it isn't. I don't think he needs to do that at all.
No, that's why I tried to clarify. That's why I was like, no, his place in the game is solidified. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. You can't take what he's, the talent, and none of that is the question. I'm saying, he has to be a bigger part of everything this year, right? He's a vet. He's on his second contract. He's one of the best players in the NFL. Like, he has to help carry this team. And I think that's fair, right? He needs to, like I say, I mean, injuries happen, right? But he needs to be available. He needs to, get on the same page with the quarterbacks. Like I said, the wide receiver corps, they got some guys who, they're a bunch of what ifs. None of these guys are guaranteed. Mike is the only guarantee on the team, right? So yeah, I think he needs to come out and have a dominant year, because they need him to. I think that's a little something to prove. And it's not saying he's not great. It's not saying he's not starting his career at a Hall of Fame level. It's just saying, like, hey, it's even more on you this year, and it's up to you to carry that load. I think that's a fair expectation of Mike. When you pay someone like the top of the league, and and the expectations are what they are, then yeah, I think it's fair to have those expectations of a guy of his caliber, and that's a compliment to him that I have those expectations. But
yeah, I mean, the expectations are definitely there for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he could be a bigger part of the offense pre-2020 though. Like, he was the passing offense. Like, there was his percentage share was outrageous.
Yeah.
I think he can carry the load. I think it's fine. It's just the ankle's got to be good, and that's it. The ankle's good. He'll get his numbers. He'll earn his contract. I don't think his production's really an issue either. I think he's probably going to show up on like just on a rage type season. I think he's going to show up and just be. I think he's going to be just as good as he's ever been, and I don't really think that's a huge concern for him.
Yeah, I want to see.
343 with Taysom. You get 343 with Taysom in 4 games, you're a goat.
But Taysom was looking for Mike though. Every drop back, he was like, "What Mike at? What Mike at?" Like, he was looking for him. So I mean,
Mike played that last game knowing he was shutting down his season too before the game, announced to the team before the game, and he went out and got his numbers. I mean, he really.
Mike
sold it up last year.
He's an animal. I'm not taking that from him, but like I said, I want to see it, man. I'm sorry. My take is my take. I feel how I feel. I want to see it. I just got to see it. Drew's gone. Wide receiver corps, you're the vet in the room, man. Everyone else is like 2 years removed from high school. Like, he has to be the guy. And he has to take another step forward, whatever that means. Because I'm worried about the skill guys, right? So Mike has to be that guy. So but we'll see how it plays out. I don't doubt his greatness at all. That's definitely not how I want to come across. All right. So moving to the other side of the ball for a bit. If you had to if you had to guess right now, give me your 1, 2, and 3 for sacks this season. Like who leads the league? Who leads the team in sacks in number 2 and number 3? Stupid bug.
Cam number 1.
Okay.
I think Cam's number 1. I think he'll probably have a little bit of a better number than he did last year.
Okay.
Oh man.
Yeah,
number
this
2.
is like where the rubber meets the road. I want to know where you. I need to know your take here.
Kind of got to figure out where the snap distribution goes too, to figure out how that's going to go. Because you could talk yourself into maybe going
David
Carl Granderson.
Oh,
you could talk yourself into that. I don't know if he's going to get the same amount of snaps though with Turner here, and if you're thinking that he's going to get Passanio, so there's a thought like, okay, so now Trey's gone, he steps up, but I don't think it's that clean. I think these other guys are going to cut into it a little bit. So I think it's really kind of a conversation between Turner and Davenport in who wins out there.
Man,
look,
now that's a tough question.
I'm gonna hate myself for saying this.
Oh, here we go. The hot take time.
I'm gonna hate myself for saying this. I'm going Davenport. I think he's gonna be better than he was. I'm going Davenport, and I don't want to be. You kind of forced me into a corner, like believing in him. But I think if any of these guys with the snaps, if there's a possibility for someone to have like a 10 sack season, he probably has the best shot. He probably has the inside track on those snaps.
Yeah,
I wouldn't bet on him getting there. I mean, there's someone I got to see it, right? I got to see it.
Yeah.
But if you're forced to pick one, I just think if I were Vegas and I were laying out odds on these guys, I think that's the guy that I would probably put number 2. And you're hoping you're getting equal action on both sides because it could go either way.
What about Go Yamada?
We're including everybody. We're including everybody.
I just said sacks. I didn't say defensive end. I just said sacks.
I'll go Onyemata then. Yeah, I'll take Onyemata for sure. I thought we were just going to the ends. Yeah, I'll take Onyemata second.
Okay. What's the most?
He's going to get the snaps. He's on the trajectory. I think they're going to probably do some more stuff with 3-man fronts than they have in the past, and he was really, really good on those last year. He doesn't like to answer questions about things, but I think being directly over the center kind of played to him a little bit. His quickness and strength was able to really show up there. So if they do some more of those 3-man fronts, I think that's going to create opportunities for him.
Yeah,
he's probably going to play a little bit more. I think everything points to him having an even better season than he did last year.
Yeah, you was trying to get him to bite on the one take, and he was just like, "Oh, I can do it from anywhere." But like, like, come on, man,
He's like, "What's the difference?" There's no difference.
Yeah, I was like, "No, bro, your numbers say different." You was like, "Yeah, right. I can do it all." I'm like, "Come on, man, come on."
You're like legit lined up somewhere else. Is there anything different? No, it's the same. All right, cool. If it's the same to you, cool. Like I'm glad it's easy.
Yeah, you was pressing him though. I was like,
he wasn't overcomplicating nothing.
He wasn't. See offensive lineman, move offensive lineman. That simple. Yeah, I just checked the most sacks he had. This past year he had his career high in sacks at 6.5.
Yeah,
it seems so. So you're saying you think?
I think he could probably get to 8, 9. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man.
Everything breaks right. I think if I got to bet on any of these guys, he has the best chance of getting to that point.
Yeah.
I think everyone else is a little bit more if then maybe could.
Right. That's fair. And I also think that, when you look at defensive end, you say Cam, you see Davenport, you see Turner, you see Granderson, you see Passanio. You see 5 deep there. When I look at DT, I see one guy, and he's going to be on the field, right? And they're going to have to. I'm pretty sure they know this, but like his snap count is going to be like astronomical this year, because I don't know any other defensive tackles of note on the team. I mean, I know some guys, Shot Total and some of the other guys they have there, but he's the guy, right? He's the guy. He's the number one guy there. So, and I think that's a sneaky neat position that they kind of have there with DT. It would have been nice to, see if they could add someone there. But yeah, I think he definitely seems like, So you would put Davenport 3 then, since all you might.
Yeah, give me your DN list.
Man, this question for you.
Nah, give me the list.
Cam. I mean, I gotta go Davenport. I can't. I mean, what do I know about Turner?
The DN list. The DN list.
The defensive end, right? Yeah, Cam.
Oh,
Davenport.
You said Davenport. I'm sorry. I thought you said Anymoney.
I was like, wait a minute. Did you switch positions, man? Breaking news?
No.
Yeah. I'm going Cam. I don't see how I can go any other way than Cam, Davenport, Granderson. Right. I don't even know what this Turner kid can do really yet. It's just hard. He's a rookie. I don't know, man. Maybe he's Joey Bosa the first year. Maybe he's, Vernon Golson or something. I don't know. I have a hard time placing him. And I kind of thought about putting Granderson number 2, being real, Richie. But I just think Davenport, they're going to give him the opportunity, right? They want him to be that guy, right? They want Davenport to be defensive lineman number 1 for the Saints. That's what they want, right? And they want Cam to grow old, and they want Turner to replace him eventually. And Cam retires the Saint, and you got 2 bookends. That's the dream right there, right? And so I think a lot of it is contingent upon, Davenport, right? He's the guy they invested a lot in. I think they're going to give him a chance. So you picked up his 5th-year option. All this talk there, all this talk about him, the lights coming on, and, it's his best shape of his life, and he's figuring it out, and he's only worried about the, and all that stuff. Everyone's saying the right things. And I think they're going to give him a chance. So just this snap count and the opportunity, I think they're going to and also maybe, listen, you're the coaching staff, right? It would be good. It would be beneficial to Davenport, the coaching staff, and the DBs and everybody else on the team if this guy got some early confidence, right? And so I could see them, running some stunts or maybe trying to get him in position to make a few plays to kind of get the wheels going, get some momentum going for him. So I think he'll have the opportunity to be the number 2 guy. It wouldn't surprise me if he's number 1, to be honest with you. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, he's getting pressure. He just needs to tweak a few things, right? It's not like a guy who we're looking at him and saying, man, this guy can't rush the passer at all, right? That's not the issue. The issue is just need a little bit more, right? Maybe just a little bit more. Maybe, he said he's thinking too much, and I'm talking too much, but he's like, oh, I'm thinking. Maybe he takes the thinking out and he's playing a little bit faster, and those sacks, those pressures are turning into hits and sacks. So
I could see him get 12. I could see him get 2. And I wouldn't be surprised either way. I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Yep. In the discussion. In the discussion. All right. So who do you think, if you had to pick between the D-line and the secondary, what would you say would be the strength of the defense right now? I know, man.
I'm going D-line. I'm going D-line because you can't hide the holes in the secondary. And if you got a hole, the cornerback, what do you got?
It's fair. That's fair. I do have a little hesitation with the D-line in some areas just because Cam is the only proven guy on there. In the defensive secondary, you see, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is proven, Malcolm Jenkins is proven, Marshawn Lattimore is proven, Marcus Williams is proven. You have 4 guys who are pretty proven. Even P. Rob is a good backup, right? PJ Williams is a good depth player who can play in a spot, and he's not perfect, but he has experience, right? So you have a lot of guys who exactly who they are in the secondary, with the exception of one spot. D-line, you got two guys who's proven, and the other 2 you kind of wondering who's going to step up there. But yeah, I don't know.
So
man.
If you don't have a nose tackle though, your linebackers can hide that for you, and you might not notice how bad that is. Granted, a safety can help a cornerback to some degree, but for those first 10 yards, your cornerback needs to cover, and if he doesn't, you're just going to get picked apart over there all day long. So that's kind of where I go with that. I think that the overall talent for talent, player versus player, I think you feel better about the secondary. So I agree there, the proven players, all that stuff. I feel better about, the top 4 versus the top 4 on the defensive line. But the problem is that your 5th guy is potentially your most prominent person in coverage. You're going to see them in coverage more than anyone else because the ball's going to go at them more than anybody else, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yep. You can't run a bracket to cover a hitch. And if your cornerback can't cover a hitch, you're in trouble. And look, P-Rob might be able to do it. Adebo might be able to do it. Until I see P-Rob back in a starting role, playing on the outside, doing it for a whole season, I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what Adebo looks like. He hasn't played football in a competitive game since, I think, November 2019. That's a really long time. He might have gotten better. He might be very capable. Just don't know right now. So for that reason, there's just nothing you can do about CB2 until you have CB2. So they got to sign somebody. I refuse to believe that they have the $6 million and there isn't a cornerback they're out there after. There has to be one.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get into, if you guys got any questions, type now or forever hold your peace, because if you don't, then won't get answered. But a couple of questions on my part. One is, I don't know if I asked you this already, but like, who of the D linemen, which one do you think, do you say they go a 4-man D line, like who's the defensive end that moves inside in that position? You saying that you think it's Davenport and maybe versus someone else from the edge?
Maybe Passanio. I think he's done that a lot in his career. So he has some natural flexibility there. If not him, then I think it would be probably Davenport. I think he can move inside. I think Turner can even do a little bit of it. But I think it'd probably be the first two guys. I think they make the most sense. Maybe let Turner settle into what he's doing. Yeah. And eat that way. But yeah, I think it'd probably be those guys. I think they got good flexibility on the defensive line. Actually, the way they're building this team is pretty interesting. I mean, there's a surplus of pass rushers right now. Maybe not necessarily super high end, but there's a surplus of them. There's a surplus of linebackers that were drafted highly. Yes. I don't know. It's interesting to see how the pieces come together. There's a lot of questions. Can't wait to really see the on field. So some of the stuff gets unraveled. But it's interesting. I don't know yet how everybody's going to play. There's more players than there are snaps. Somebody at edge is going to get squeezed out to some degree, at least, as far as overall percentages. And it's either going to be probably Passanio or Granderson not getting the snaps that you thought they would get. And then obviously linebacker, someone either drafted in the second round or the third round over the last 2 years, isn't going to play a whole lot. Yeah. Okay, so some questions. I saw a good question from Troy Bear. It was earlier in the pod, and I found it right here on the screen. So he said, good article on Adebo. Thanks, Troy. Like we said, told you guys earlier, NewOrleans.Football. I think that Adebo article went up yesterday, if I remember correctly. So yeah, you guys go check that out. It's a good read. Smart kid. So do you think the Saints are waiting to see what they have with the rookie from Stanford, Paulson Adebo, before they decide to sign a veteran to come in and compete for that other job? I think this is maybe one of the downsides of not having traditional minicamp is those periods aren't for evaluation, but I think in some respects they are. This would possibly be one of them, to just kind of get a look at him, see how much work he has to do. Yeah, I think you can evaluate that, maybe not come to a final judgment on snaps, but decide, okay, look, we need to get somebody else in here. And maybe they were able to do that in their individual work. I don't really know what that entailed. Like, were there any one-on-ones perhaps between wide receivers and cornerbacks? Did they do any type of coverage? Yeah, I think, that would maybe give you some exposure to go find out. But yeah, I think that there's probably some aspect of like, okay, let's see what we have, get this guy in the building, go from there. Right. And I don't know what they were able to see. As far as that, like, you'd have to wait in the training camp. I mean, you could, but if you wait that long, you run the risk of maybe everybody kind of drying up and there not being much left out there. So, it's interesting. It's stalled a little bit, just the market as a whole. Sherman, Conley, the guy from Pittsburgh, Nelson. There's just not been a whole lot of movement yet with these guys. And I wonder, like, what it is. Are they asking for too much money? Is the money not there? Yeah, we'll see. But at some point, those dominoes got to fall. Yep. Oh, all right. Let's see. Okay, we got a few questions here, so we're gonna try to get through them all. Let's see. Is there any position group that the Saints are deep enough to package for a trade for cornerback, linebacker, tight end? And that's from Bob XHA. Not really.
Yeah, I know. You make a strength of weakness, or it's kind of a little bit tricky, right?
Like there's a surplus of ends, I guess, but like I don't think there's a whole lot of value there. I think you probably got an extra linebacker, but I don't think that there's a bunch of value there either.
Yeah.
So look, the other thing I'll say is I don't see linebackers in need. I don't think it's a need position. They drafted a guy in the second round. They drafted a guy in the third round. Obviously, Bond, is what he is. But I think drafting Pete Werner and having Demario Davis, I think they see linebacker as a strength. I think they think that's a good spot on the team. And they like Chase Hansen. Again, it seems like they like Bond's upside. It seems genuine.
It does.
It does.
It really does seem genuine. And I was like a little shocked. I was like, they were like, oh, at the end of the year, he started playing better. And I was like, okay.
I mean, there's hype, and then there's
a little weird.
We'll see if it's real. We'll see if it's real. But I do think that they like linebacker. I know there's a big push for Quan Alexander on Twitter. Like I don't see it. I don't see a need for him. Yeah. If you could bring him in at the vet minimum, have him on the team, sure. If he's better than Pete, he's better than Pete. I don't think they think that though.
We gotta call this guy Werner. Because you said Pete, and I was like,
okay. Well, I think they think Werner's better.
Did you have Werner over for dinner? Like y'all homies? What's up with that?
No, nothing like that. Okay, all right. Yeah. There's only one Pete on the team. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, definitely.
All right.
I mean, am I wrong in that? Doesn't it? It feels like regardless of what everybody else outside thinks, their actions tell you don't draft that guy in the second round if you think, okay, we can just bring Quan back. That second round pick is valuable. Draft somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, linebacker as much of a need as guard is. Like they've spent draft capital there. They got to see what these guys can do, right? And if you bring in Quan, you'll never know what you have in the two guys that you drafted, right? So
if you could bring him in for the minimum again, and he happens to beat everybody out, fine. I would then question though why you spent the draft pick on Werner, and maybe it's something that pays off down the road. But then why did you spend it? I mean, you've drafted you spent a lot of draft picks, 3 picks on because they had to trade up 3 picks on linebackers in the last 2 years.
So if you get through most of training camp and then you bring in Quan, that lets me know a lot. It depends on when they sign them.
Yep, that's fair too.
If you sign them third week, then second round didn't work out. And Bond is still who we thought he was. So it depends on like the timing, I guess is what I'm saying.
I'll say this. So like the want for someone at a position where they've drafted a guy in the second and the third is weird to me because you're basically saying that you hope that their drafts the last 2 years were trash and that they have to pay veteran players. And you hope they sign a guy and then the other 2 guys they drafted aren't good enough to play. So now you have to re-sign. So even if you get Quan at the minimum, if you sign him, he has a good season, Pete and Bond are no good. Next year, you have to pay him a lot more money. And now that means that you've wasted early picks in the last 2 drafts. So like the want for these players to not be good is very weird to me. I don't understand the logic behind that thought process. I see it every day. I see it every day, like a million tweets about Quan. And I'm just like, why are you pining for this dude? Like you should want the player they drafted to be good.
I don't think people like want the player that they drafted not to be good. I think people just kind of want to be right.
Well, that's the subtext to it, though. That's the thing, though. Like, if you're pining, like, that's not inherent in their statement, but they aren't seeing the second layer of their statement.
But I think it's more about people wanting to be right than it is them wanting the players not to be good. That's what I'm saying. I think people just want their takes to be right. But
I don't even think these are takes. These are just people tweeting like, "Go sign Quan." Like, it isn't like a real take. It's just, I just see a lot of tweets. I don't know. It's just, I don't get it. Yeah.
I mean, moving on. All right. If Jameis balls out, starts and balls out.
I had to let that off. I see a lot of. It's just every time I see it, it's just like, why? Like, why?
Yeah, I know you. That's why I gotta like, I know you like, and then I'm your boy, man. I got you. All right. I'm trying to protect you. All right. If Jameis starts and balls out, what's the risk of him pricing himself out of New Orleans? None.
They'll find a way to keep him if they have to.
Franchise him. Yeah, he's the quarterback.
Yeah.
Let him out. It's not happening. If Jameis balls out, he's a saint. he probably wants to be here because he didn't ball out anywhere else, right? So
they'll figure it out. I mean, you'd have to pay him commensurate to what his value is, but they'll figure it out.
Yeah. If they can generate the salary cap they did in this offseason, then they'll figure it out. You might lose something really important, but they'll figure it out.
If they want to keep a player, they'll keep a player.
Yep. Let's see. Nick, should Deontay Harris focus only on returning due to injury history? I'm going with a no there.
Yeah, I'll say no there too.
Yeah, I'm going to say no there too. Yeah,
yeah.
You can't. Listen, this team needs weapons. It's not like they're like 6 deep at wide receiver. So if you got a guy that can potentially give you some formation versatility and explosive plays, I think you gotta use that. But you can limit his snaps, obviously, but I think you should definitely use them. Let's see. I think the biggest challenge. Oh, all right. And I think we kind of addressed this one, but this will be the last question. What's our team's identity? What would our strengths be? It's kind of what this whole pod was about. I think offensively, we spoke about, what we think the philosophy will be, and then defensively, like what the strengths will be on the defense. So, yeah, I think we covered that one, but
it's going to be interesting seeing what it is. I mean, I think that's really the theme of the whole season and of the franchise as a whole. Like, you lost your identity retired, so it's going to move on. And I think that a lot of the identity probably becomes, I think the offense now orbits around Alvin. I think it's kind of Alvin's team, and everything kind of builds off of that from there.
Wow.
Defensively, it's it's a good question. Going back to the previous rant, I think that there's actually strength at linebacker, and I think that they'll be pretty good there. We'll see though. The secondary, I think there's major questions. The line, I think there's major questions, and I think linebacker is major questions too. There's major questions kind of everywhere, just due to a little bit of uncertainty of personnel / performance. Going back 2 questions. Don't hate Quan. I just think the idea of like wanting these other guys to not be good enough to play doesn't make sense to me. And the last question too, like with Deontay, I don't think that you can play scared, and that's kind of why, you just can't approach things that way. And I think he has stuff to offer. And
right.
I think
good point.
I think being healthy is just, you got to find a way to play, and that's just something that has to be figured out. And you can maybe protect him with the routes he runs, and maybe just keep it more vertical, and maybe you don't try as much. But I think that if he has something to offer in the passing game, you have to find a way to get into that. And I think he does, especially with the quarterbacks that'll be playing next year.
Yeah. Yep. Traquan, don't stop running.
Don't stop running. Deontay, keep going.
Don't stop running. Mike, Marquez, who else? Is Lil Jordan still around? Lil Jordan, don't stop running. Troutman, Van Nett, don't stop running. Alvin, nobody. Everybody just keep running, man. Keep running. We need you guys to keep running to NewOrleans.Football. You see what I did there? That was kind of lame, but we're gonna ride with it. I'll have a better one next week. Yeah, man. Thank you guys for showing up. That'll be it for this pod. Again, we want to make sure we redirect you guys who are not members. If you are a member and you signed up, then you let us know in chat. We'll shout you out. If not, then go take care of that, man. It's easy sign up process. It's not overly expensive. It's not expensive at all, actually. It's actually a good deal. And I would highly suggest it. So go ahead and check out NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. That's the link. Everything you need Saints related. We will be returning this week with the members only pod. It is off season, and I've gotten maybe 1 or 2 DMs about some topics. So if you guys want us to speak about something specific, let me know. Let me know. I'm the guy. I'm your guy. Like I told y'all last week, don't DM Nick, DM me. Even though Nick DMs are open, mine are more open. So, just come holler at me, man. Nick is probably writing an article or something. I'm not. So, thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for showing up. You guys stay safe. With that said, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.